Your wine, madame.
Okay, wait, what are you doing? Aren't you supposed to actually open the bottle?
No, I'm going to show you the bottle because you ordered it off a wine list. You're making sure that the label coincides with what you ordered on the wine list. Make sure it's the same year, same everything.
Okay, then what do I do?
And then you'll nod or
Okay.
say okay.
Okay.
All right, here you go.
Okay, so is now when I sniff the cork?
You know, Kim, you don't ever really sniff the cork.
Really?
Yeah, the cork, what happens is the cork has information on it. So what you're doing, if you're going to look at the cork at all, you're going to get information from the cork and see if it matches what's on the label.
Okay.
You just want to make sure what you ordered is what's in the bottle.
So much to think about. It seems like there's so many different types of wine.
Let's get many out of your vocabulary. Think about
Okay.
two things right now.
Right.
There are grapes and there are regions. A Chardonnay grape grown in France, California, Australia, wherever will make a Chardonnay wine. The region, however, will give it a distinct flavor, a distinct taste. And I'd like to talk today about the regions, grapes and regions. France is broken up into regions, and how does it work here in California?
Well, like France, it's very similar.
When you look at these two bottles, what's the first thing you notice?
Okay, well, one's a red wine and the other one's a white wine.
Very good, but that's not what I'm looking for. Notice the shapes of the bottles.
Okay, wait, why is that important?
Well, what you'll find is that almost all the wine that you'll ever buy will come in either this shape bottle or this shape bottle.
Okay, so...
So, these two bottle shapes represent two of the most famous winemaking regions in France. And you've heard of it, I know, Burgundy or Bordeaux. Okay? So, let's talk about that for a minute. The wines in this bottle shape are typical of the wines produced in Burgundy, where the soil and climate conditions are especially suited for growing Chardonnay grapes and Pinot Noir grapes. And that's exactly what the white wine is. It's a Chardonnay, and the red wine is a Pinot Noir.
Okay, well, what about the California wines then?
And we'll get to that in a minute. It's important for you to understand the French system, and then everything else becomes easy.
Okay.
This type of bottle is typical of the wines produced in the Bordeaux region. What you'll find that with the wines in this type of bottle, if they're red wines, they'll be mostly Cabernets. And if they're white wines, they'll be mostly Sauvignon Blanc.
It's so much. I just feel like there's so many different bottles and grapes. It's a little confusing.
Don't worry, Kim. Basic thing to remember about all kinds of wines is what type of grape the wine is made from and where that grape was grown. So it's getting a little easier, right?
Well,
Just remember, 2 types of bottles, 4 types of grapes. Okay? I just described about 70 to 80% of all the wine you'll ever encounter in your whole life. Here,
gosh, it just seems like there is so much to learn.
that's the joy of wine. As you become more comfortable with different wines, you'll be able to develop your own frame of reference. The 2-bottle, 4-grape model that I've been talking about, it's just the basics. It's just going to get you started. Okay? I have one exception.
Okay, I was just starting to get it. I don't want you to confuse me even more now.
I want to talk about Merlot.
Okay.
I want to mention Merlot because it's a very popular wine and it's somewhat of a wild card in terms of this discussion. You see, historically, Merlot was a blending grape.
Wait, what is a blending grape?
Blending grapes are used to add to very tannic wines, mostly Cabernets, to lessen the astringency.
Okay.
Then, a couple of regions of Bordeaux started to realize that the Merlot grape had some character of its own, and they started to grow it and cultivate it. And now Merlot is grown widely and appreciated for its softness and its fruitiness. You almost always see it in this Bordeaux-style bottle. Well, I bought you some of my favorite wines,
Oh, great.
and it's going to be your job to taste them.
All right.
Now, I bought them, so you can assume I know what I'm doing. But let's say it's you in that wine store or that restaurant. How would you be able to figure out, A, what type of wine is in the bottle, and B, whether you think you're going to like it?
Let me guess. Read the label.
You got it. Knowing how to read what's on the label tells us a great deal about the wine that's in the bottle. And I got to stress again, it's all about what type of grape the wine is made from and where that grape was grown. And that's really all we're trying to figure out. See this right here? Grand Cru. If you see this on a label, Grand Cru, or Premier Grand Cru, this is a notation of quality. In other words, this is a good bottle of wine.
Oh,
it's a
okay.
cut above the rest.
Oh, good. Good to know.
Right here, Arroyo Grande Valley. And just like France, California has famous growing regions. You have had to have heard of them. Sonoma, Napa Valley.
Absolutely.
Now, for California wines, you might run across a phrase like reserve or vintner's reserve, and this is an indication of quality. When I say better choices, I mean better choices for you, because that's really the bottom line here. You finding out which wines you like best. You know, if it's a famous label wine or a bottle of wine that costs $1,000, if you don't like it, you just wasted a lot of money.